station, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Ship got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. Real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go. On this Monday evening in the city, it is June the 9th, 2025, 6 o'clock straight up, which means it is time for an all-new live and all-new Real Talk Memphis. Very happy to have you with us on a beautiful Monday evening in the city. I am your program host. My name is Chip Washington. Glad to be here with you again this evening, and all my crew is in the house tonight. I get a little cranky when my folks are missing, but Lola was out last week, but she's back, and everybody's in the house, and everybody's feeling fine and doing good. Good show tonight, Lola. By the way, good stuff, really good stuff. Me and Bryn, we approve. We approve of that message. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the next hour will be filled with great conversation with some great guests tonight, including a first. I will get more into that in just a second. But how do you get this fine piece of radio broadcasting? Well, there are a few ways you can do that. Of course, we are broadcasting live right now, 91.7 on your FM dial. That would be WYXR. You can also find us on the WYXR app. We are on TuneIn, TuneIn. Put in Real Talk in the search, and you can find us. And we are live streaming this evening. We are on Facebook Live, if you choose to check us out there. And, we're also going to be on YouTube a little bit later on this week, next day or two. When they post the show, you can listen to us on YouTube. But more importantly, we are a podcast, and you can check us out wherever it is you get your podcast. How about that, huh? So, we got a lot of stuff in store for you this evening. And in terms of the guests, I think we've done pretty well this week. We have the first guest that's going to be joining me in the next few minutes. And this is the first. He is the first elected black mayor in the history of Horn Lake, Mississippi. Will be joining me in just a few minutes. His name is Jimmy Stokes. That's a big deal. I used to cover North Mississippi in my TV days at Channel 5, and things have changed, and they're growing up out there a little bit. We'll be talking with the mayor-elect in just a couple of minutes. A little bit later on, the Reverend Dr. Earle Fisher will be joining me. Of course, I always bring him around when, things are, at a certain level in our city, and I need to get his truth and his conversation about what is happening in and around our communities, good, bad, right, wrong, and the whole 9 yards. And a bit later on, how many of you out there are yoga enthusiasts? As Lola raises her hand. There are many folks who really enjoy the relaxation aspect of yoga. But my guest later on this evening, Miss Shawandra Ford, is a yoga therapist, and she says that this could be very useful, and she uses it in terms of public health and a lot of other things, and it can be used to reduce stress and make people think about certain actions that they may take. Because their body is not in tune to where it needs to be. So I look forward to having a conversation with her about all of this a little bit later on. Yoga looks relaxing. I've done it a couple of times, and that's why I'll never do it again. Because, the body just doesn't roll around like it used to, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, that's the rundown for the show this evening. But first things first, we're getting into the time of year. June is big birthday month, in case you didn't know that. And a lot of folks are celebrating birthdays this month. A lot of folks are celebrating birthdays today. And speaking of that, we like to do a little thing called a shout out, where we celebrate with you on your day, which is today. But we can't do that until I say, hit it, Brent.
Happy birthday!
All right, here we go. I got a lot to get to tonight. Happy birthday going out to Jesse Johnson. Leroy Davis celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday to Christopher Davis. Shirley Williams. Sandra Hamer Smith celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday to Paul Boyd. Francis Sadler, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Bridget Sanders. Linda McFarland. Michael Thomas. Rob Long. Brian Hilland. And Tony Bedden Jr. And what would the shout out be without one from Lola? Lola.
Happy belated to my bestie with the testes, Corey Hollywood. And happy early birthday to my sister, Tony Robinson. I love you.
Happy birthday to each and every one of you out there. It is, of course, when you make another trip around the sun, it is always a good thing. And so we celebrate with you, of course. We wish you on this day love and happiness. And we hope to be with you next year for your next trip around the sun. Thanks, Brent. By the way, before we get into this, because I just got a text from one of my guests. Lola, what's the password for the guests to get in? The login for the Zoom folks. Can you guys? Okay, there we go. WYXR FM. If you're listening to me, Mr. Stokes, WYXR FM, lowercase, right? I think. Yeah, lowercase. WYXR FM. That is the password to get in. So I'm hoping that you won't have any issues before we get to you in just a couple of minutes. But first things first, let's talk some news. How about that? Of course, my home city, from my home state, California, Los Angeles, has been in the news quite a bit here lately. The ICE immigration raids going on out there have escalated to a very tense situation. The President of the United States deployed the National Guard over the wishes of the governor of the state of California, who would be the one to authorize that, by sending several hundred National Guard troops into the city to, quote unquote, keep the peace, as he likes to say. And now it seems as if the president has mobilized about 700 Marines, I believe, is who he is mobilizing now. The Marines. We're talking about a function of the armed services who has nothing to do with any of this at all. So we're talking about bringing in Marines to what? Fight Americans on American soil? That's where we're at with this whole thing? This has gotten so far out of control now because people are protesting the way this is done. Nobody's saying that immigration is not a problem. Nobody's saying that people crossing the border illegally is not a problem, because it is. But when you start all of this with the guise of removing dope dealers and murderers and rapists and the whole 9 yards, as was indicated initially by the federal government, and now you start snatching people out of Home Depots and a lot of other places with these surprise ambush attacks, then we're starting to get into a whole different category. Agree with me or don't agree with me, that's your prerogative as an American citizen. But this type of situation in terms of federalizing troops, i.e. the National Guard, this hadn't happened in over 60 years. And the last time it happened was when President Johnson sent federal troops in during the race riots in Alabama, as you remember, in Selma. That was a long time ago. And to bring this up and to do it without even consulting any of the local government officials out in Los Angeles and or the state of California is just unconscionable in reference to all of this. Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of the state of California, did file suit against President Trump in the White House today, saying that their local police could handle this situation. Crowds are amassing out there, and you keep pushing on folks and not even giving them a chance to even protest peacefully, which is how you should protest. Then folks start to get a different kind of a way and a different kind of an attitude. We are preaching that folks, if you're going to protest, which is fine, and that is within your right, and you are within your right to do that, but do it peacefully. Don't give people a reason to become violent, because that could lead to some very tragic consequences, and we don't want that to happen. We can make our point nonviolently. We have in the past, and we can in this situation as well, but it bears keeping a watch on, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. They announced last week that they are in the midst or going to be a part of a $310 million redevelopment plan in partnership with Nashville, one of the HBCUs, the historical HBCU, Meharry College up there. They are going to bring, Meharry Medical College is going to bring a facility to Memphis as a part of this redevelopment plan that Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church is going to launch. There's going to be restaurants, there's going to be housing there, it's going to be a mixed use, and then, of course, now the medical component. For many of our folks who can't afford it, that is a pretty big deal, and that's pretty big news as well. So we congratulate the folks at Mississippi Boulevard, and we congratulate the folks at Meharry Medical College, who are going to be opening up a facility down here in the next few years as well, much needed. There was a shooting over the weekend. Well, that's nothing new. Cache 42 is a restaurant. It was a triple shooting over there this weekend, late in the evening. I think Saturday night, I wanted to say. 3 people, all teens. Which location? I don't know. I didn't know that there was more than one. Okay. Well, yeah. But there at one of the Cache 42. But Lola said there's more than one location. Huh? Oh, okay. Moneybag Yo. Okay. Yeah, that's his restaurant. But anyway, 3 teens, 19, 18, and 17, 19, 18, and 16 years of age were shot. Unfortunately, the 18-year-old was shot and killed. The investigation continues. Not a lot to be said on this particular case, but we will keep an eye on it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we say it all the time. You know what? Gunplay does not solve anything. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into the broadcast. What do you say when we come back? We're going to talk to the newly elected mayor of Horn Lake, Mississippi. Hey, I'm Chip. You know who you are. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Real Talk Memphis. Don't go away.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from the Metal Museum. On the last Thursday of each month, May through September, the museum hosts their free after-hours event, Wet Thursdays, featuring metalsmithing demonstrations, exhibitions, food and drink trucks, and music from local bands and DJs. More information can be found at metalmuseum.org. Support for WYXR comes from Minglewood Hall, presenting St. Paul and the Broken Bones on Thursday, October 16th. Tickets and more information can be found at minglewoodhallmemphis.com.
Support for WYXR and the 2025 Stereo Sessions comes from Independent Bank, serving Memphis, its businesses, and the greater community. You can find more information on how iBank can help you navigate your financial journey and hear client stories at i-bankonline.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. Glad you're doing okay and glad to have you with us this evening. And I'm really happy to have my first guest tonight. You know, Horn Lake has been around, Horn Lake, Mississippi, rather, has been around for a long time. And they recently made history. When it was first announced, it seemed like it was a little under the radar, but when folks started to really get a grip on all of this, they went, "Yeah, this is something that we ought to really celebrate here." In reference to it, my first guest is Jimmy Stokes. He is the first black elected mayor in the history of Horn Lake, Mississippi, and Mayor-elect Stokes. It is great to see. Huh? There you go. Yeah, the applause button. Mayor-elect Stokes, it's great to see you and great to have you with on the show. It's good to have you here. And again, congratulations, sir, on your victory. Congratulations to you. And all of the folks who worked hard to help to get you elected. You know, you and I talked a little bit off air last night, and I think you're still kind of in election mode. But the votes have been counted. And you're in office now. Now, just to give folks a little bit of background, you're from Memphis. You're a Whitehaven. You're a Whitehaven guy. Am I correct in that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Whitehaven, class of '98. Yes, sir. Whitehaven High School.
Whitehaven High School. Yes, sir. And you are also, if people don't know, you're also a pastor. And your church is, where is your church? What's the name of your church and where is it here in the city?
Northeast Side Church of Christ in Bartlett, Tennessee.
Well, you out there, that's where I live. I live in Bartlett, Tennessee. But in any event, it is great to have you really on the show. And again, congratulations. You have been in the political circles out there for a while. A lot of people know you. You were a planning commissioner, I believe, or you were on the planning commission for a while. So you've kind of been ingratiating yourself in the inner world of politics in that city, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. I've been a planning commissioner under Alderwoman LaShonda Johnson of Ward 5 since 2017, when she became the first African-American alderman of Horn Lake, and then she chose me to be her appointed planning commissioner. So I had the opportunity to be involved in the planning department, learning how to do, some of the subdivisions, developments, zonings, different things like that. So I am familiar with it. Very familiar with our city board and everything else, but to be able to jump from the commissioner board to mayor, it's pretty big.
That's a pretty big jump. So tell me, what was it, or what was the deciding factor for you at this particular point in time to say, you know what, I think I want to run for mayor of the city that I live in? Tell me about that.
I think it was. I remember. Being on the board and just being able to work with others that was on the commissioner's board. All of us were appointed, but recognizing that, I made suggestions on things and everybody seemed to be like, you know what, that makes sense, and then to be able to go and sit in the mayor's office and talk and chat with him and learn things from him. And then it's like almost like God said, hey, look at this. I'm putting your feet on ground. It could be yours one day, And I remember going back to my church. It was probably in 2020, somewhere around there, not too long after becoming the commissioner. I told my church, I feel like God is calling me to run for office of mayor one day in Horn Lake and just lead the city to be in a better position. I could see some of the things that we lacked in development. And when I looked at the numbers and started to realize that, man, maybe Horn Lake can do a whole lot better with a leader with a vision. Visionary leadership. You don't wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I'm a visionary leader." No, that's something that God give you, where you see a lack of something, a need, and you wonder if other people see it. So the more I started talking to people, especially in 2021 when I ran for office, I lost about like 180 votes, maybe something like that, to Mayor Latimer, and people, my message, my platform resonated. People really believed in what I said for me to run for the first time, and here it is. I'm 180 votes from winning.
Yeah, that for the very first time. So you decided in this election cycle that you were going to run. God convicted you and said it's time to get out here and do this. I heard from one of your staffers that you shook. If you couldn't shake every hand in Horn Lake, you got pretty close to it. I was told you shook well over 500 hands. You went out every day, right, in the morning and in the afternoon, because it was important to you. That personal touch was important to you, that they saw you, that they felt you, and that they heard you, correct?
Correct. I know they wanted me to do a lot of parties and all that other stuff, but I told them the thing that worked in Horn Lake is shaking people's hands, meeting them face to face. They want to lay eyes on you. And I had a team of 3 young men. Man, I love these young guys. They just came to me during the campaign, or somebody introduced them to me. These 3 young men made sure that we knocked on every door we could in Horn Lake. These are young guys in their 20s, and when I got tired, they went out and kept going. Then they said, "Nah, Mr. Stokes, it's the 4th quarter. You can't get tired." So yes, I wanted to meet every person I could, all the way up to election day. So for 4 months, 4 months and more, we was either knocking on doors when it's raining, we making phone calls. We're gonna do it.
So, and obviously that was a winning formula. So tell us now that it's starting to sink in a bit, and you are going to be the leader of this city, and you're going to chart a course for the future. What is on your radar? What are you looking at? What are the needs of Horn Lake as you see them, and as you try to guide them into the future?
My number one priority is to build the right platform for Horn Lake. I mean, the right economy. Platform is there. The right economy. Horn Lake is, I tell people this all the time, and most people in Horn Lake didn't know this. We in 2021, we the 10th largest city in the state of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2025, we're the 14th largest city, which means we had a 0.35 decrease in our population, but we're still the 14th largest city in Mississippi out of 400 city and towns. Think about that. A city of our size should be able to do more than fast food, car washes, gas stations, and discount stores, right? Mm-hmm. We should be able to bring in some large corporate businesses that can bring revenue to our cities, so that we can do what we want when it comes to fixing our parks, when it comes to our roads. We're not always waiting on a grant or some kind of state funds. I want us to get to the point where we build an economy where we can take care of ourselves. You know what? My grandfather used to tell me all the time. He said, "Son, you can use credit all the time, or you can learn how to have that money in your account."
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do for Horn Lake. I want us to build an economy that's beyond minimum wage jobs, right? So right now, what I'm doing is also looking at the new development coming into Horn Lake and making sure that it's some things that we can depend on to help with the revenue of the city, so that we can take care of the city. You don't go to 26,000 people and you're still treating it like a small town, right?
Yeah.
We want to do business like a major city.
And there's a lot to be said by that. You said you're the 14th largest city in the state of Mississippi, and that's a pretty hefty deal in and of itself right there. And you've seen I've seen the progress of Horn Lake growing and continuing to grow, but you really want to take that template and really expand it out. You're seeing that there are a lot of things that Horn Lake does have. It does have a bit of a charm to it, but you really want to. In other words, if you want to be a player out here and you want to compete with other folks, you have to have things in your city that people want to be attracted to. Correctly? Am I correct in that?
Correct. Mm-hmm. You have millions of dollars driving through Horn Lake every day because we don't have certain things, right? We have a few restaurants, but man, we could actually do a whole lot better with sit-down restaurants. We don't have a movie theater, something I mentioned a lot in the campaign. We're one of 3 top 20 cities that don't have a movie theater. So you think about people that shop from the Delta to Horn Lake, man, we could provide that for those small towns that probably couldn't get one, right? But that money drive through Horn Lake and go to other neighboring cities toward the east. So if you think about Olive Branch has built a city where they can take care of people all the way from Marshall County all the way to Olive Branch, being a major city. So we want to do the same on the west. We want to be able to provide from the Delta up to make sure that those mayors that we support them in building a stronger economy that also support us. Provide things that those people in those cities need. I want to make sure that all the mayors in that area, Horn Lake is a blessing to the west side of Mississippi. I call us the northwestern gate to North Mississippi. That's what I call us all the time. We're the gateway. And so we want to take advantage of that with our diverse population. The average age of our citizens in Horn Lake is 35. That's a young city.
It's a young population. That's young. Yeah, that's very young.
And you got young families, man. Do you not know they want some family-friendly, enjoyable environments, right?
Yeah, without having to go to Memphis or I get that. I get that. South Haven and everything else. Yeah, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. So in terms of all of this, were you when election night came? Because I'm always curious about this, the thought process. I know all candidates who run for office are nervous, about it and everything. Did you have the day of the election? How did you feel? Were you in some way comforted by the God sort of put a calm inside you to say, you know what, it's going to be all right at the end of all of this, or were you a nervous wreck? I mean, how did you approach election day?
I was calm. I would say calm because I'm the kind of person, once I put in the work, give it all I got. It's up to God from there. God and them voters. It's up to them from there.
Yeah.
If they choose me, I'm going to be the best mayor that I can be. If they don't, I'm going to keep fighting for my community. So I was calm, but I was excited. I was anxious. I'm like, oh, I'm waiting on Ward 2 numbers to come in. But overall, I was pretty calm. And I think you all probably see history more. I'm just still grasping it.
It'll take a minute. Yeah, it's still sinking in. I'm pretty sure. But one thing before I let you go, one thing I did hear is that the political wave may be changing in Horn Lake in terms of aldermen. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we now flip the board to the majority of Democrats. We only had one Democrat on the alderman board, Alderwoman LaShonda Johnson, which is my alderman, alderwoman. But now we flipped every one of the seats except 2 to Democratic. So for the first time in history, you have a Democratic mayor, Democratic alderman at large, and 4 more also alderman seats taken by Democrats.
That's a big deal, my friend. That says a lot about the changing tide of Horn Lake, Mississippi. Well, listen, I'm first of all, I'm very happy that you took the time to come on the show tonight to talk with me and our audience. Extraordinarily proud of your efforts, and we'll be pulling for you. And this is maybe your first time on the show, but I'm hoping that it won't be the last. I hope you come back and visit us down the road a bit.
Would love to.
Thank you. I got man. I'm just happy. But this is Mayor-elect Jimmy Stokes of Horn Lake, Mississippi, and I got to get used to all of this myself. But thank you for coming on the show, my friend. Appreciate you, and all the best of luck to you down the road. Really appreciate you, and congratulations again.
Thank you again, Mr. Washington. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. History in the making in Horn Lake, Mississippi. And y'all treat the mayor right now. He's going to treat you right. You treat him right as well. Let us take a break. And when we come back, we will continue on this Monday evening ride we like to call Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away. One quick break. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk.
Support for WYXR comes from Minglewood Hall, presenting St. Paul and the Broken Bones on Thursday, October 16th. Tickets and more information can be found at minglewoodhallmemphis.com.
Support for WYXR comes from Playhouse on the Square, presenting A Bronx Tale June 13th through July 13th, a musical adaptation of the play and film set in the Bronx in the 1960s about a young man torn between his admiration for his father and the allure of becoming a mob boss. Tickets and more information at playhouseonthesquare.org.
Support for WYXR comes from Mempho Presents, featuring the Outlaw Tour 10th Anniversary Show at Radiance Amphitheater on Friday, June 27th, featuring Willie Nelson and Family, Bob Dylan, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, and Trampled by Turtles. Tickets and more information at memphopresents.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you, and along with my next guest. And this gentleman, I like to invite him on the show because he is one who hits the issues head on. He faces the issues head on, and he is a very, very smart guy, and I like to tap his knowledge. Please welcome to the show, Reverend Dr. Earle Fisher. And it is great to see you, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay, man. Glad to be back with you, even though Pastor / Mayor-elect Stokes is a tough act to follow. That was a wonderful interview, man. I'm glad we got a chance to hear his vision for Horn Lake and that history-making election, man. So thank you.
Absolutely that. So listen, before we get into local things around here, I wanted to get you to tap into you a little bit about what is happening in California, more importantly in my home city, Los Angeles, with the situation and the president calling in the National Guard and without consent of the governor, and a lot of just all of the turmoil and mess that is going on out there. I wanted to see if I could get a take from you on what you see in reference to that.
I mean, I'm watching the developments. It's actually on my TV now. Just, the second day of demonstrations, police in riot gear, as you mentioned earlier in the first kind of lead in. You got, for the first time since LBJ and the civil rights movement, you have a president who did not wait for government or governor's request to send in, federal troops, National Guard folks. And I think one of the interesting angles of this is not something where people in Los Angeles was upset with something that Mayor Bass did, or that they were upset with something that Governor Newsom did. They were protesting the policies that were coming from the federal government. And I think we have to be real sober-minded about how we got to this point. And there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of spin, a lot of innuendo, a lot of fluff, but the bottom line and the black fact is elections had consequences. And we have to really think long and hard about what our strategies are and what our engagement tactics look like, because I don't think anybody is viewing this as some wondrous set of developments. I mean, we are in a very tender and fragile kind of moment, and what is happening in your hometown, brother, is reverberating not just across the West Coast or even across the country. It's actually reverberating across the world. And we have to really be thinking about what the next iteration of our fragile democratic project looks like.
Absolutely, that it's really it bears watching, no doubt about it. No doubt about that. I want to shift gears back home here. Last time I had you on, we were talking about the Department of Justice in the consent decree that was issued at that particular time in reference to what had been going on here systematically in our city with the treatment of our citizens in reference to law enforcement for a very long time. Now, with this new administration, the Department of Justice has pulled all of these investigations out and away from cities like Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Louis, us, the whole 9 yards. So now we don't have that to follow, even though our administration was hesitant about that the last time it came around. I wanted to get your take on that, and more importantly, where we are in your eyes in terms of the accountability of our law enforcement agency to do the job that they are supposed to do and treat our people with more respect, if you will. I'm very curious to find out kind of where you think we're going from here.
Yeah, man, I don't think we have enough time, but I'll try to take a stab at it because there's a lot of different layers to this. You've already mentioned like the dynamic between the federal government, the Trump administration. And when you win elections, you get to appoint people like as the Attorney General of the Department of Justice. And they get to carry out your vision for an entity and an apparatus like that. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that when it came to police and criminal justice reform, Trump did not see a vision that was consistent with the vision of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. And so now when you get to appoint people to a position like the Department of Justice, you have to pick up the baton of whatever the previous administration was trying to implement. And so we saw like record numbers of pattern and practice investigations from the first Obama administration all the way through. Even the first time, Trump kind of stalled it. I think he may have continued like 3 of the 20 or so that I think may have been under Obama administration. But this time you see them like flat out stopping some of the stuff, and the consent decrees that were being implemented are like being rolled back. So, I mean, that's a weird kind of dynamic when you look at somebody like Mayor Young, who doesn't want to be seen in alignment with Trump ideologically or philosophically, but echoed some of that same sentiment even before the election when he was saying that they were not going to, well, this was after the election because it was December when the pattern and practice investigation came down. And at the time, even before the inauguration, Mayor Young was saying that he was not going to, sign on to the consent decree, needed more information. Right. And then it's gotten to the point now where, and I think what I'm about to say is a matter of their legal strategy, and we could discuss that to the degree that we're able. They're saying now that the findings in the pattern and practice investigation are meaningless. And that's just ridiculous because that's a genie that you cannot put back in the bottle. And those of us who have been out engaged in the community trying to even recruit people to tell these necessary stories about their encounters with law enforcement, you know what I'm saying? You cannot tell me that those stories did not matter. We just knew that we needed federal apparatus and support in terms of enforcement of some of the criminal justice and police reform measures that we were proposing. But, now there's a whole lot of minutia, and you have the mayor's task force, which 6 months in has not produced anything, not even a memo that I'm familiar with. Right. And I've had a conversation with him, and I just told him, and I think that he underestimated the level of bureaucracy that's engaged in some of these governmental kind of processes. And so where he might have wanted to put a task force together and then, line out things and start hammering stuff out, here we are 6 months in, and I'm sure that there are people who are working real hard on that task force, and I'm sure Judge Donald is doing what she can. I just knew at the offset that we did not have the same kind of opportunity from the DOJ report and that Department of Justice under Biden as we would have right now, and here we are.
The one of the aspects of all of this is the trust level, and I don't believe that there is very much trust between the citizens of our city and those who represent the law enforcement agencies, whether it be from the past or whether it be what's going on now, and what you very, very eloquently stated in reference to the fact that this task force, we've heard nothing except we heard when it was assigned and that judge, retired Judge Donald was going to head it, but we hadn't heard anything else in reference to it at all. People's confidence in law enforcement, I think, is shaken and very, very skeptical. And I guess really from your perspective, where do we go from here now? I mean, because we're at a level now, we're seeing an increase in violence, although people from the Crime Commission keep saying that certain metrics within the crime statistics are trending downward, which very much confuses me because the news feeds that I look at every day indicate a different story. What about you?
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to kind of push the mayor to push back on some of the media stuff too, because we need to know what the truth is. And what I think we see from a media standpoint is, regardless of what the numbers are, most of those media outlets are going to lead with bloody stories as long as they are there. So it feels as if crime is high and immediate no matter what the numbers are. And so that's part of that, like, feelings over facts kind of deal. And so at some point, I think the people who are in positions of power have to hold media outlets accountable for making the necessary modifications in how they are reporting. Because right now, I think there's a level of sensationalism attached to the crime and the violence. But nationally and locally, by most objective accounts, there is a slight decrease. It doesn't mean that there's not more things that need to be done, but that's one particular truth. As it relates to the trust in law enforcement, we are really behind the eight ball, and the road to hoe got a whole lot longer after the Tyree Nichols murder trial, because we had an opportunity, and I wrote about this, we had an opportunity to put front and center this gap between policing culture and policing policy. Because when Tyree Nichols was murdered, you had Chief Davis get on national outlets and say these officers violated policy and they did not follow their training.
Right.
Well, when it was time for the state trial, the defense's primary argument was they followed their training and they followed the policy. But the state never called anybody from MPD up to refute that. And so it leaves this gap of, are we still talking about policy? Are we still talking about policing culture? And it just seems like policing culture, which is much more rogue and reckless, seems to be winning out over policy, even if you get some of these police reform policies passed. And so until we deal with that gap, I think we're still going to have a high level of distrust. And I think it is a legitimate and warranted distrust.
Finally, I want to ask you about the Tyree Nichols trial, the state trial. Of course, we pulled in a jury from Chattanooga, and it's 21 counts against these officers, 3 officers, and all of them were found not guilty. I saw you on several news outlets in and around the city when that verdict came down. And how big a blow was that for you to see that in reference to what we were, so many people were hoping for in terms of accountability of these officers?
So I think it's an enormous blow insofar as justice and truth are concerned. It is significant but not insurmountable when you think about the fact that the federal trial had already happened and all of them are still waiting to be sentenced, right?
Right.
But those of us who were watching the state trial still want to know, how we were asked to look at this white jury in a majority black city, so it's clearly not a jury of the peers of the defendants, and how they were able to look at the evidence and then they believed the defense argument over their lying eyes, because the video evidence is clear. And so this does tie into the things that are written out in the pattern and practice investigation, which is why I'm saying it's erroneous to call it meaningless unless it's just part of some legal strategy and you kind of need to lawyer it up. But for those of us who want to deal with common sense in the real world where policing is taking place, it is not hard to see that there are supervisors who need to be held accountable. And up to this point, I don't know of not one of them that was held accountable. There are people who knew that there was inconsistencies and discrepancies between what police reports were reading and what the videos were showing. And you tell me that this jury that ironically was selected from, one of the whitest counties in the area, was able to look at these black brothers and for the first time humanize black folks in a way that you wouldn't do if they were not police officers. So, there's definitely much more for us to sift through when we start thinking about what the truth is and what justice actually looks like, because I don't know anybody who would be reasonable that would say that this was not an unjust verdict. But there's still something insofar as accountability is concerned, which is why it's important to have federal legislators and people in federal office who can do what happened during the previous trial, the federal trial, because now you got to try to rely on that and get as much that, and then you still got the civil trial that's pending too. And so there's a few more irons in the fire, but definitely much more complicated than I wish, and many of us wish it would have been at this point.
Reverend Dr. Earle Fisher, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, sir, for taking the time to come on the show tonight and visit with me and our listeners. Really appreciate your insight and your observations as always. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. There you go. Reverend Dr. Earle Fisher, ladies and gentlemen, nothing but truth every time he comes on the show. Let's take a final break, and when we come back, we will wrap up this edition. We're not done quite yet. Don't you go away. Real Talk Memphis continues right after this.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from the FedEx Arts Program, providing grants to arts-focused organizations to strengthen the Memphis community through the arts and in alignment with FedEx's charitable priorities of access and stabilization.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Support from WYXR comes from Sunset Jazz at Court Square, a free, family-friendly concert series presented by Just Jazzin', downtown Memphis and City of Memphis. Held every second Sunday from May through October, this annual event brings the smooth sounds of Memphis jazz to the heart of downtown at 62 North Main Street. Each show spotlights local talent in a wide range of styles, from straight ahead to swing. More information can be found at sunsetjazzmemphis.com.
Programming for WYXR is brought to you by a grant from the Hyde Family Foundation, who is committed to creating a better future for the city of Memphis by supporting initiatives that enrich our city's cultural landscape.
Support for WYXR comes from the Halloran Center for Performing Arts and Education, setting the stage for everyone. The Halloran Center, next door to the Orpheum, invites you to be in the center of it all through live entertainment, arts education, community programs, and event spaces all year round. More information at orpheum-memphis.com. Support for WYXR comes from Halloran Center Presents, featuring Sally's Saloon, a Western soulful murder mystery in partnership with Princeton James Productions. An interactive dinner theater experience with mystery, music, and more, Sunday, June 22nd. More information at orpheum-memphis.com.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Support for WYXR comes from Crosstown Brewing Company. Events and live music the entire month of June with WYXR DJ Chris Rowling hosting Sip and Spin on Saturday, June 28th, and Grateful Dead cover band Spaceman's Dead Friends playing Sunday, June 29th at 2 p.m. More information on these events and full event calendar can be found at crosstownbeer.com.
Support for WYXR, including our stereo sessions, comes from Duncan Williams Asset Management, specializing in financial management for individual investors, businesses, nonprofits, and foundations. More information at dwassetmgmt.com.
Support for WYXR and the 2025 stereo sessions comes from Independent Bank, serving Memphis, its businesses, and the greater community. You can find more information on how iBank can help you navigate your financial journey and hear client stories at i-bankonline.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. Chip with you, and glad that you are hanging in there with us tonight. Now, you know, I alluded to this at the top of the broadcast. Yoga is a pretty big deal from the health perspective, and it's been a wave now for quite some time, and a lot of folks are into it. And we'll extol the values of it. Lola was telling us during the break she used to teach yoga back in the day when she worked when she worked for the health department. But my guest, that was who you just heard before I formally introduced her. But my guest tonight is Shawandra Ford. She is a yoga therapist, and she teaches this, and she also lets us know that there are many therapeutic benefits to yoga, but there are also other benefits as well. And Shawandra joins me now. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm great, and yourself?
Doing well. And thank you for taking some time to come on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, not a problem at all. So, yoga, it's a big deal. A lot of folks are into it. First of all, how long have you been into the yoga? And I know you're an instructor in the whole 9 yards, but for how long have you been doing it?
I have been practicing yoga since maybe 2010. 2010, I lost my mom. And then I kind of I was doing the grief counseling and all these different things. And then and I stumbled into a yoga class, and I kind of fell in love with it.
So, having said all of that, you got into it, and of course, you're the founder of Brown Skin Yoga, which is your business. But there was something interesting about what I read, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about this. You said that wellness is a public safety issue, and that teaching people how to regulate stress and heal from trauma could reduce crime and really uplift our communities. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so I am also a part of a program that is called the Prison Yoga Project, where we go into jails and we go and we teach people that are incarcerated, and we just teach them yoga. A lot of times I go over to Little Rock, Arkansas, and I teach them there. And you would be surprised that there would be a room maybe with 80 men practicing yoga.
So what is the benefit from all of this? I mean, you're talking about
the benefit is that everyone is not a bad person, right?
Right.
Sometimes we get caught up in stuff and things happen, but it's the rehabilitation part, and where we're trying to heal ourselves, and we're trying to do it in a natural way. Just the mindfulness part. I go into a lot of schools, and I probably should not say this, but I will say this anyway. I went into one of my schools, and I asked one of my students to tell me something positive about himself. And he said, "There's nothing positive about me. I rob people."
Wow. And
so with that being said, just trying to figure out ways to, just it's our circumstances, where we come up from, where we're used to, our situations, and we just do the best that we can. So with the yoga practice, I'm teaching them mindfulness. I am teaching them how to find things positive things to say about themselves. If you rob people, okay, great. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss why you do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
When I go into the jails and I'm teaching, there are people that are there that have just been. It's just they're not bad people. Everyone is not a bad person.
What do they tell you after you say? Let's talk about the prison thing for a second. After you go into prisons and you teach yoga and you teach mindfulness in the whole 9 yards, what do they say they get out of it? What are the benefits for them after they've completed a session with you?
The calmness, the mindfulness, the thoughtfulness, learning how to reset and recenter, how to reconnect with themselves. Some of them, they'll be in jail forever, but they can still reconnect and just be a better version of themselves, even while they're incarcerated.
The ultimate goal of it is it too, and you used the term 3 times in this conversation, mindfulness and relaxation. Is that the ultimate goal of it? When people come to you and say, hey, I know about yoga, but I don't know, much about the benefits of it. I want to get into it. What are people, saying to you in reference to that?
I always tell people that I'm not the party yoga teacher. I am definitely here to find a more holistic way to heal. So when they come to me, it's the allowing yourself to be still, allowing yourself to be conscious in your state of mind, connecting your mind with your breath, and just allowing yourself to be exactly where you are. Almost like we're kind of like reconnecting. We're trying to recenter. When they leave, and my biggest goal for them when they do leave is that they have a sense of calmness. Mm-hmm. My little kids, I teach kindergartners. I teach them yoga. And I'm teaching them how to be still, even in kindergarten. Yeah. And they can do it. Mm-hmm. You will be so impressed with them. You'll be so proud of them.
Wow, this is really neat stuff. Now, your business is Brown Skin Yoga, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you and you've been doing this for a while. Anybody has any questions for you or wants to know more about your classes? Give them the contact information before we get out of here.
Hey, come on over out to the Southbrook Mall. The Southbrook Mall is open. My studio is located at 1254 East Shelby Drive. I'm in the hood. I go in underserved communities and I teach yoga.
There you go.
So yeah, that's where I grew up, and that's where I want to kind of give back to my community, and that's where we are. And they can check me out on Instagram. They can see all my little baby faces, all our little black and brown faces. They can definitely check me out on my website at www.br. Oh gosh, I confused myself. BRWNSKNYOGA.com.
Well, listen, I thank you for coming on the show. This is, I feel relaxed already. See, I ain't even done the yoga thing, but see, you got me all in this little mindset now because I'm getting ready to leave here.
I'll give you a free class.
Oh,
this yoga with us.
Thank you, Shawandra. I really appreciate it. Shawandra Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely that. Listen, that wraps us up for this evening as Bryn plays us out. And Bryn, before you do that, your show, Event Horizon, is next. Pop the mic and tell them what they can expect this evening from you.
Yeah, that's right. Tonight, usually I switch it up from genre to genre, but tonight we'll be playing. I'll try to stick to some stuff. So we'll be playing some New York rap, some Dirty South stuff, and then after the 30 minutes, the second 30 minutes, excuse me, I should say, we'll be playing some some horror punk and some rock and metal that may go in a little bit of a darker direction.
All right. Event Horizon, ladies and